Hey, high school literacy leaders. This is DLC Foster Yankee, and I would like to welcome you back to another year of Curriculum Chats. If this is your first time joining us, this series of videos is intended for campus leaders, substitutes, special education teachers, anyone going into the classroom to participate in or observe instruction who needs to know the lesson but doesn't have time to click around Odell and figure it out. The intention is to discuss these lessons through the lens of someone outside of the classroom and share with you some suggestions and look-forwards. So let's get started. In this video, I'll be discussing Section 1, Lesson 1 in the American Dream of Home Ownership Unit. Here are the goals, TEKS, and ELPs for this lesson. Students are establishing a purpose for reading unit text, making connections to personal experiences and ideas in quotations, songs, and videos about the concept of home and home ownership in the United States, and evaluating details read to understand key ideas, and several videos about the post-World War II housing boom. Students will be reading, or shall I say watching, the lyrics to Home Sweet Home by John Howard Payne, Home Is from the Unit Reader, Why Owning a Home is the American Dream. They'll also watch This Man is the Father of Modern American Suburbia, Creators of Communities, and optionally, There's No Place Like Home from The Wizard of Oz, and Cary Grant and Myrna Loy Design Their Dream. The materials for this lesson are Telling Stories, Culminating Task Checklists, and Culminating Task Progress Tracker, the Telling Stories Unit Text List, Section 1, Lesson 1 Question Set, Academic Discussion Reference Guide, Annotating and Note-Taking Reference Guide, and the Literacy Toolbox Reference Guide. So for the lesson overview, in this lesson, students begin their examination of home ownership and the American dream by considering the question, why has home ownership been considered part of the American dream? They will see how the mythology of owning a home has been built through songs such as Home Sweet Home, written in 1823, and learn about the post-World War II building boom that made owning a home accessible to many, but not all Americans. So diving into the lesson, Activity 1 has students briefly discussing the unit's topic and why it might be of interest to them using the question on the screen. Why has home ownership been considered part of the American dream? So this question will make a great warm-up question. Students should be pretty familiar with the concept of the American dream from the previous unit, Great Gatsby. So great question to get them started. I recommend this take no longer than 5 to 10 minutes of the lesson. It really is just a start to the unit, just to familiarize them. Backwards. Right. Still in activity 1. So after discussing that or thinking about that question, students work with a discussion partner to think about and discuss the question on the screen. What does the word home mean to various writers and thinkers? Read and discuss the collection of quotations in the unit reader in the section titled Home Is. What thoughts about the meaning of the word home do they suggest? Well, hopefully, unit readers are available by the time we get to this unit. If not, this part of the activity would have to be skipped just because we don't have access to the text. So still in activity 1, students locate the culminating task checklist and read the prompts and the 4 subtopic questions, then think about the question on the screen. Is owning a home a viable dream? If yes, explain why you think people should strive to achieve this dream. If no, explain why home ownership is not something many people can or should strive for. After recording their individual responses in their learning logs, students compare responses with a partner. Observations are then shared in a class discussion. The activity ends with students reflecting on what they need to know, as well as what they need to do to succeed on the culminating task and writing their responses on the checklist before sharing with their partner or as a class. So super important not to skip this metacognitive process. We want students to know the end product for the unit and to begin with that end in mind. So keeping that in mind, the culminating task progress tracker and checklist, that's something I would definitely be looking for as I was going into 11th grade classroom, conducting observations. Every student should have that in their notebooks or wherever they keep their documents. Okay. In the next activity, the class reviews the unit text list. I would say this is definitely skippable. I always recommend just having a display of books related to the topic of the unit. It's definitely not something that we need to spend a lot of time on if we spend any time on it at all. In activity 3, students listen to and read the lyrics to Home Sweet Home while considering the questions on the screen. Afterwards, students share their responses and thoughts about something that class favorite teacher. So it seems, I guess it could seem trivial, but this activity connects back to the question of why home ownership has been considered part of the American dream. By having students think about how the dream of owning a home has been represented in American culture by listening to and reading the lyrics of a song about home. In activity 4, students watch 2 historical videos called Creators of Community. And this man is the father of modern American suburbia while considering the questions on the screen. There are 5 questions there. Probably want to play the video a couple of times or either let the students watch the videos independently. They're not very long, but it is a lot to try to answer those questions and watch the videos at the same time. So I'll preview the questions and I'll play the videos several times. But like I said, allow students to watch them independently if they have access to the technology. After they are done watching, answers are recorded in their learning log before sharing and comparing their initial thoughts. So activity 5 extends activity 4. Students discuss the videos and what they have learned about how the dream of home ownership manifested itself in America following World War II. Per the teaching notes, this is the first full class discussion in which all students will respond to assigned material. So it might be a good opportunity to reinforce the habits of healthy academic conversations and text-centered discussions, especially regarding use of evidence to support observations. Teachers might have students browse the academic discussion reference guide as a refresher before engaging in the whole class discussion. And also be looking for students to be utilizing the discussion stems and norms of that book reference guide. In activity 6, which is optional, students work either individually or in groups to think about examples of how the idea of the home has been represented in pop culture, TV, movies, advertising, songs, poems, stories, books, etc. They research interesting examples from a national or international source from any era of how the idea of the home has been depicted. As they prepare to present their example to other students in the class, they consider the questions. The activity concludes with students presenting, comparing, and discussing their examples from pop culture with other students in the class. Per the teaching notes, this optional activity is included to build student interest and to suggest again how the concept of the home has been represented in American pop culture. Another great suggestion is to allow foreign-born students or students from other cultural and ethnic backgrounds to research and present examples of how the home is thought about and depicted in their native cultures, offering them the option to discuss the topic in their home languages and report their discussion in English. So it sounds like fun and would make a great extension to the lesson if time and pacing allows. And this lesson's final activity. Students access the 1988 newspaper article titled Why Owning a Home is the American Dream in the Unit Reader. Then read and annotate paragraphs 1 through 7 of the text in response to the questions on the screen. The annotating and note-taking reference guide is recommended for this activity. Depending on the students, I would expect the teacher to provide some guidance on which symbols or how many symbols students are expected to use for their annotations. Since students were previously annotating drafting documentation, it might be worthwhile for teachers to model what it would look like to annotate this type of text. Again, depending on the needs of the students. So that brings us to the end of the lesson and a potential cub. When I start my cub, I always begin with the B, to be able to, thinking about the formative assessment or what it is the students are expected to produce by the end of this lesson. So I identified activities 4 and 5, the partner and whole class discussions as the formative assessment for this lesson. I know there are 2 activities after that, but activity 6 is optional or an extension, and activity 7 is really the beginning or prep for the next lesson. So when I'm thinking about what I'm looking for students to produce in this lesson, it really lives in activities 4 and 5, those discussions. So for my be able to, we look backwards. Students are going to evaluate details read to understand key ideas in several videos about the post-World War II housing boom by discussing the following questions with a partner and coach. So I opted to include the questions I would want students to know up front what questions they're going to be expected to answer, but it's not required. Then I go back up to my case. I originally wrote they would know why home ownership has been, why has home ownership been the part of their dreams. I wavered back and forth on whether that's basic recall and whether that's something they would really have an answer to this lesson. And I think I have landed on they would not actually go back and forth. Talking about activity 4. I think I landed on a better page. Maybe it's not. Yeah, that's a better note. So I think a better note might be how the American dream of home ownership manifests itself in America following World War II. And that ties more directly or aligns better with my be able to. And that is something that they should be able to recall by the end of the lesson. So from my note, revising that, so we'll know how the dream of home ownership manifests itself in America following World War II. So that's I believe when you still lines, understand how the dream of owning a home has been represented in America. Again, just a suggestion for it's a different. So that is a wrap for this video. I welcome your feedback and look forward to hearing from you either on Twitter, via email, or while you're here. Don't forget to subscribe so you never have to worry about this. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in lesson 2.